you. Bless you. Bless you. No, you know what? Like, I'm stronger than you.
I'm better than you.
I'm just smiling at you.
So many emails. Okay. And the grammar is just horrible.
No. One hit wonder.
Yeah, literally.
Sally Rooney. Got her. You know, whenever you laugh and it like vibrates into your skull and you're like, I'm like, shut up.
I think we're good to just get right into it.
Okay, perfect. I'm drooling. Do you guys like my sweater?
I love your sweater.
I literally, like, I had it in my head today. I'm like, I want to be funky. So I put on my bracelets. I put on my rings. I was like, I want to put on my little sweater because it's fall. It's officially fall.
Is it?
Happy
today?
fall. No,
Oh,
not today.
happy
I don't know
fall.
when. Happy fall, everyone.
I mean, it's raining here. It's giving fall.
It's giving fall. But today we wanted to talk about debunking the myths of success.
I'm giving like spring or summer.
No, but I love it. Rep my
Hue of blue.
merch. Zoom in. Today, it's rainy. We're like,
It's cozy.
tired.
I know. I came here and I said, please, just all I need is a coffee.
Okay, so debunking the myths of success.
Yes.
I would say Steph and I are successful.
I
truly believe that in my heart.
I would say Mara is successful.
No, you
I am on
are.
the path to success.
No, you're successful. You're the most successful person I know, besides me.
In which way?
But I feel like there's a lot of things and common misconceptions that a lot of people think about when they think about like successful people. Whenever they
Yes.
look online and they're like, oh, they probably have everything together. They probably have millions in their bank account. A lot of
best
rich
life.
people are in the most debt. There is good debt though. So, but they are in debt. And I thought we could talk about debunking those myths. A few of those myths, given my experience and Steph's experience. So the first one, I have 8 points.
Good.
I came prepared.
She's taking the lead on this one.
Yes, but Steph this is a conversation. You called me and I'm here to
Conversations
answer.
with friends.
Okay, Steph, I'm going to talk to you. The first myth.
Give me
You
the
will
myth.
always be successful. But by successful, I think it's like you will never fall off the fitness train. You will always have money. You will always you know what I'm saying? I feel like everyone who has made it, I mean, there is a higher chance that you will say you're on social media. You keep your followers because unless you do like something horrendous, I feel like your follower count will only go up.
Yeah.
Depending on how long you're on social media. But that's honestly a myth because it honestly all depends on how you measure success.
I think so too. And you also have to remember, like, just because you made it once doesn't, it's like one hit wonders,
Yeah.
right? Or you see sometimes a childhood star that you loved and you're suddenly
Taylor
like, what
Lautner.
happened? Yeah. I mean, I think he's still doing okay, but there's
Yeah.
some where it's like, what happened to them? Or,
Yeah.
you know, they fell off a little bit and then you look and they spent all their money because they always thought success was going to come.
Yeah.
And suddenly nobody's giving them any more jobs because unfortunately we live in a very vicious society where
Yeah. Cutthroat.
it's cutthroat.
Yeah.
It's very, very cutthroat. And I think if you're not constantly on top and trying to say like, hey, I'm still here.
Yes.
And that's in it's not just social media. Like even as a realtor, you kind of constantly have to promote yourself and still push out content and still push out, you know, maybe newsletters or flyers
Yeah.
or whatever it might be to still say like, hey, I'm still around. Like I'm
Yeah.
still in business. Like don't forget about me because we're constantly pushed with, think about email marketing. I was actually talking to my mentor about this yesterday.
Yeah.
And before, you know, people, they would pay to push email marketing. Now it's like you get inundated with so much.
Good word.
I know. I stole that from my mentor.
Wow. Okay. That woke me up.
I usually don't have big words.
No, but when you do,
No?
I was going to say that wasn't a diss. I didn't mean that you're
No,
Okay,
that was
okay,
that was a
okay.
that was a high compliment. But anyways, you get inundated with so many emails that it just becomes this thing where you start deleting them all without
Yeah.
reading any of them. And even if you're in the services industry of
Yeah.
like, you know, doing nails or hair or whatever
Yeah.
you might be doing, you constantly have to promote yourself. Just because you are successful doesn't mean that the next new shiny thing that gets presented towards people, they're going to flock to that.
Yeah.
So you have to constantly be like, I'm still around, I'm still improving, I'm still growing. Like,
Exactly. And I
Use
think too, like, I wanted to talk about certain years in successful people's lives because it's always going to be up and down. I remember Steph was telling me a couple years ago, she had such a good year and she thought that, and so did I also had a really good year last year. And I think whenever you have those good years, you think every year is going to be like that. You'd hope for that, right? But unfortunately, life doesn't work that way. And you get humbled really fast whenever life is kind of saying, no, you can't be this prideful, boastful, arrogant person. You need to still put in the work. And I think that's like a huge myth of being successful is that you will always keep that success. You will keep the success if you work for the success, if you continuously put yourself out there, like you were saying. But if you don't do anything, that's why there's a concept of starving artist, because you get a big book deal, oh my God, I don't need to work again.
Yeah.
$50,000 is not even enough for a full year's salary. And I don't think people realize it. When you get an advance book deal, you have to earn that out. So yeah, you might get that upon release, but every time you get your bi-yearly statements, you have to earn $50,000. So if your book sales crash, which they will because there's always new books coming out, it's going to take you years, maybe even a decade to earn that out.
Yeah.
And then your big high and mighty attitude of, oh yeah, look at me with my big book deal and whatever. Unfortunately, you're going to be living in a slummy area because your dick was huge, like essentially, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that is a huge myth that I think people.
And I think that kind of leads to your next myth a bit.
Oh, you always have money?
You will always have money.
Yeah.
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 Like just hand in hand with the success, you constantly will think, again, with success brings money. And you're going to think if you have this lump sum, and we kind of talked about this in our finance episode of just thinking you have all this money and you're good, but there's a difference between where you're putting that money into and how you're saving it and how you're trying to constantly build new, I guess, equity, right?
Yeah. I was thinking about there's so many different ways to make money nowadays. And when you're an entrepreneur or you do have those lump sum payments, whenever you get money, like a big sum of money, you normally don't know how to spend that, like, or keep that or save that in any way. Because I remember when I got my first big check, I was like, I've never seen this kind of money in my account before. And so with that, I was like, I went to the mall. I spent it on drinks. I spent it on nights out because I was like, oh my God. And then in 6 months, that money was gone. Are you kidding me? Like, just because you got a big amount of money does not mean you are going to keep getting that amount of money, especially when you are your own boss. Like, you have to hustle. And I think all of these points are going to kind of link to each other of you have to put in the work to keep that success.
Yeah.
But I think a big thing, which I'm going to link to one of my points of, people will assume that just because you have money, you're always happy. Like, you get whatever you want. That is not the case at all. And I think whenever it comes to making your, oh, you know what though, I will say, after the first big paycheck, after you've made the mistakes, I almost feel like you need to go through that. I almost feel like you need to have a bad spending year to really see, wow, money does not grow on trees and I have to work for that, because it does escape you very fast. And if you stop putting in effort, you will not have that. Whenever you get through that period of like spending habits, whatever, and you put in the work and you see your money growing, there's this self-satisfaction of, I actually earned this rather than it was like given to me. And I think a lot of the time, I've noticed this in a lot of people who do like kind of like, not mediocre, what's the word? Like mindless 9-to-5 jobs of just like sitting down. I actually had a conversation with my brother about this because he does a lot of work, but his work is kind of like knowledge he already had. So people who don't possess the knowledge that he already had come to him saying, can you do this? Can you do this? So yes, he does a lot of work, but it's work that he doesn't really care about. And he came to me the other day and he was like, what is the point of like working just to like, is this it? Is this all I'm going to do for the next 60 years? I'm just going to wake up and work. And he makes good money, but he's like, there's no purpose. There's no fulfillment.
There's no challenge either.
Exactly. And it's like, I think whenever you work, you have a purpose and you work towards that purpose. It doesn't matter how much money you really make, because the money becomes a benefit to the actual main core focus. I think a lot of ambitious people get scared of pursuing their own business ventures. My brother loves coding. He designed his own video game. He loves doing like websites and, you know, all of that stuff. But unfortunately, he is in the corporate world and he's like, this is not what I want to do. And then obviously, like me, I do whatever I want to do. Like I start a business line, I start a clothing line, a podcast, like whatever, because I don't want to be anything else. I don't want to work underneath someone. You know what I mean? And I think he saw the money that I made and he was like, I want to do that. Like I want my passion. Who doesn't want their passion to become their main source of income? You know what I mean? But you really have to be patient and hustle. That's the biggest thing. But unfortunately, how do you fix the epidemic of this 9-to-5, finding time with your relationship, your family, your
it's very
health,
difficult.
but also pursuing what you want to do.
It's hard to navigate, but you gotta chase your purpose, right?
Yeah.
That kind of also relates to a myth that people think success happens
Overnight.
Or even honestly the myth that if you work hard enough for a year you'll become successful. I think it takes a lot longer than people expect it to take.
Yeah.
And you have to hustle. And I actually was listening to, you told me to listen to it, and I did, the Mel Robbins podcast with, I forget, I feel like it's Emma or something.
Oh, the CEO, the billionaire,
yeah,
Skims.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I loved that episode.
Yeah.
Listen to that.
I didn't watch the full thing yet. Like, I'm
so
like
good.
A good chunk in, but she's a part of Skims, Good American, another company I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyways, she mentioned how, like, I think she's 40 or something, and she's like, I didn't see success until 5 years ago, and she's been hustling away.
And she said she didn't love her job until 5 years ago.
That's what it was, yeah. And because she was hustling the entire time. Honestly, it relates to even like your fitness journey.
Yeah.
Right? People think like within a month you can get your dream body, and then you hear about all these fitness influencers who are like, took me 5 years to get this body. And when you actually start to do the work, you realize, oh, it's not that simple, because you follow one fitness plan and it doesn't work for you. It gets you a little bit, healthier than you were, but you don't have your dream body yet. And you have to try all these different ways, different workout routines, different diets, different like routines in your life to get to where you want to be. And that takes a lot of time, and it takes longer than 3 days. It takes longer than 3 months. It takes longer than a year, usually. Yeah. And I'm not saying like if you hustle away for a year, you're not going to become successful, but
there will be improvement.
There will definitely be improvement, probably significant improvement if you're really serious about it. But it might take you 3 to 5 years to actually see the success that you want to see, and to be like, okay, this is what I was chasing, and now you'll start to see it slowly. It's like a snowball effect, but it takes a lot longer than people expect it to.
Exactly. And enjoy the journey. We've spoken about that before, but enjoy the journey of chasing your purpose. Truthfully, I believe that you will be successful one day if your main focus is to write out that purpose. I really don't believe that if you're chasing it for the wrong reasons, for money, you will never get that. And odds are, if you do get that, you're going to be a completely different person, and not in the best way. My boyfriend said, money doesn't change who you are. It amplifies who you've always been.
Yeah, I've heard that before, and I think it's true.
It's true, because I shop at thrift stores. I don't buy Sephora. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just like a cheap person to my core, and I love spending my money on memories with people. But when it comes to material stuff, that is someone who I will never be that person. Like, this was thrifted. Like, I will always go to the sale section. Like, I buy discount food at the end of the grocery day. Like, that's just who I am, and I will never change that.
She knows always when the sales happen.
I know the sales. I will never shop anywhere unless there's a coupon I can use. Like,
actually, we went to Old Navy recently, and I was dying of laughter because she picked up like 3 things, and I picked up 1. I picked up a scarf.
Yeah.
And we get to the checkout counter, we both pay. I'm like, oh, like, how much was yours? Like, thinking she spent triple the price that I did. Somehow she spent less than me because she found the sales in Old Navy, and I still ended up spending way more than I wanted to in Old Navy on 1 stupid scarf.
And I have points.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. It's like, honestly, it does amplify who you are, like who you've always been, because it doesn't matter like how much money you make. I think like the people that you see that like try and buy all of the designer and stuff like that, there's just some deep root insecurity. Or there's also this end, right, of you didn't grow up with much, so now that you have money you want to spoil yourself. Like, that's totally okay too. But I think in my case, and a lot of other people's cases, like why rich people always buy like Hondas and Toyotas, like just like the regular basic thing, is because there's more things you can spend on. Also, once you get money, reinvest.
Once you've become successful, you don't need to prove who you are anymore. So if you are desperately trying to prove to people, like, there's nothing that screams unsuccessful more than somebody who is constantly trying to prove to you that they have money.
I remember you telling me, we were walking at Yorkdale. Do you remember? You were like, you can tell someone who has money versus someone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with the nails, the hair.
Honestly, yeah, I've always said you can 100% tell if somebody comes into the space and they're really put together. Their hairs, you can see they don't got split ends, and their nails are perfectly done, and their shoes are clean. And they don't have to be wearing designer, but you can kind of tell, even the way they carry themselves, you can tell when somebody is successful. And I'm not saying it's always 100% like, oh, okay, they have a fresh haircut, they're successful. I'm not saying that, but if you look at them as a whole and you see that everything is kind of put together and very pristine, and the way they carry themselves and the way they speak, you can probably guess who's successful versus the person who's dripped out in Gucci and all of this designer stuff, and they're clothes are wrinkly and their shoes are a little scuffed.
Yeah.
And you know what? Because they overwear this. You know, you overwear that one Gucci piece that you have because you're trying to prove like, oh, I can afford this designer piece. But it's like, well, it's wrinkly and it's scuffed up and it's kind of starting to look a little
frayed
because you've worn it every day to try to prove something to somebody.
Actually, that brings up a good point. I didn't write it down, but who you think is successful based on how they present themselves, actually, it's not always the case.
There's somebody that I know.
Yeah.
That is extremely, extremely wealthy. Like we're talking multimillionaire. Honestly,
perhaps
for all
a billionaire.
Perhaps. Like I don't even know. But very, very, very successful, very wealthy. And I've met this man on a couple of occasions. One, the nicest man ever.
Yeah.
Two, I actually would not have been able to pick him out of the room because he showed up to something that I was at wearing just jeans and a t-shirt. And he looked not underdressed, but he definitely didn't stand out. Like there was so many other people wearing more expensive suits and designer outfits and showing up in these really nice cars. He was, and being so much louder.
Yeah.
He was quiet and he was there and he was nice and he was friendly.
Yeah.
And he just looked so casual. And chill. And like you wouldn't expect that from him because he was not flashy at all. It was very humble.
Yes. And didn't you say he left the event early?
Yeah, he left the event early because
rich people go to bed early.
Rich people go to bed early because they want to be up early to hustle away. They're not partying with everyone else taking shots and stuff. You would think somebody at that caliber would be a bit of an asshole.
Right.
Super nice. He didn't know me. He shook my hand. He said hello. Like super nice guy.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. It goes to show like the character of somebody. Their priorities isn't to show off and their priorities isn't to be better than you. It's to improve their life and grow and hustle away.
Yes. And honestly, I don't know if I ever told the McLaren story on this podcast.
No, you have to tell that story.
Okay, this actually links so well. Wow, see, things come in for full circle. Mm-hmm. This is probably one of the most powerful situations I've ever encountered. Like it actually like brought tears to my eyes. But I was at a grocery store and I live in like a decently wealthy-ish area, and I went to this grocery store and I saw a McLaren that was parked. There was nobody in there, whatever. And me and my boyfriend went in and we were walking out and we see that this couple was walking into the grocery store and they were dressed in like Louis Vuitton, all of the like, you know, the red bottom heels, like everything. And they looked like the most bitchy people. And when they honked their car to close it, it was this massive Hummer, like decked out, like military style Hummer. Took up 4 parking spots essentially.
That is one of my biggest pet peeves.
Yeah, like parked diagonally in between 4 parking spots beside the McLaren. Mm-hmm. So it was giving, okay, like look at me. Mm-hmm. And even the way that this couple like carried themselves, like the guy was like in like a suit and he just looked like assholes. We looked at them like, what business do you have on a Sunday morning? There was no business for you to be parking like that any day of the week, let alone whatever. And so
it was entitlement.
It was entitlement. So we were eating our sandwiches, our cheap clearance sandwiches in the
50% off.
50% off sandwiches in my car. And there was a family car that also parked like kind of around us, and a son and a father came out. And the son was probably like 7 years old, and he was looking at the McLaren. And he was like, "Oh my God, Dad, whatever," looking at the McLaren, whatever. And the dad was like looking at it too, because obviously it was cool. And when the owner came out, who owned the McLaren, when I tell you, me and my boyfriend's jaw dropped because my boyfriend had seen him in Longos. It was this like overweight, like looked like Santa Claus, happy man who was just like just ordinary, like wearing
a jolly old fella,
literally wearing an old hockey jersey, and he was with what I assume was either his daughter or his granddaughter, and she was wearing literally like a tatty Blue Notes old shirt, whatever, hoodie thing, and shy, and the guy was so friendly, and he literally said to the little boy, because the little boy was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and the father's like, "Sorry, we'll go down." He's like, no, do you want to sit in it? Like, so nice. Me and my boyfriend were literally like watching this whole interaction, And he like tapped the kid on the hat, and
So sweet.
he was just like in there like pretending he was like racing, and the father was talking to him. Then the son comes out and he's like, one day you'll own that kid. And like literally just like like they just like were so happy, like this father and this daughter.
The guy who owned the car said to the son that he didn't know, saying like one day you'll own something like this, or one day this will be
exactly.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he borrowed that car, like that was his car. There were like decals on it that were like whatever. And then as this interaction was still happening, the Hummer couple came out and was like glancing at them, like glaring at them, and then like started the Hummer and like slowly went around the McLaren and like looked at them. Me and my boyfriend were literally like, that is the most classic example of rich, flaunty arrogance versus secure, confident wealth. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I was so moved because it was such a display of what you were talking about, of you can tell when someone is genuinely wealthy, rich in like life, over rich in a bank account. And who knows, that couple probably is in so much debt because of that military grade Hummer.
Yeah, it could be just to prove something. And jealousy is written all over them.
Exactly. So I was like, take that as because that was so moving. I was literally like, you don't see that nowadays.
And that was definitely such a core memory for like that was something that probably took 3 minutes out of that man's time to do for that kid. And that kid will probably remember that for so long. Like that's going to be a core memory of him being able to sit in a cool car like that and just experience that. And honestly, the dad also probably felt really good in that moment too, because he saw his son so happy. Like that was just, it's not expensive to be nice. Like it's literally
costs
free.
Nothing to be nice. My next one is you probably like the misconception of you probably have a lot of people around you, which is actually the complete opposite. When you start working on yourself and you start really zoning in and taking things seriously, it's not that you're isolating yourself or people from your life. It's more so that you have nothing in common with those people anymore. And a lot of people are going to take it the wrong way, but actually the higher you climb, the smaller your group.
Yeah, the more successful you are, the more lonely you are.
Exactly. And I was actually talking to your dad about this, if you're watching, at the table. Whenever he said the older you get and the more you like work on yourself, the less people will be in your life, and you got to watch out for those people.
My dad's biggest advice is keep your success to yourself. Like, be a private person. You don't need to tell everybody about every milestone you've hit and every achievement you've hit and all of your goals and all of your plans, because a lot of people are jealous. There are a lot of people who are
prey on your downfall.
Yeah, who are very close to you, who you wouldn't think. And you know what? Sometimes those people are just nasty people, but sometimes they honestly don't even realize they're doing it. They're just like, oh, I want them to be happy, but why am I so jealous of them that I want them to like fail in a sense? And for that reason, keep it to yourself.
Yeah, but I would argue that whoever does that, like, because jealousy and envy and all of that stuff, they're not good traits.
No.
I'm going to be so honest with you. Every human being will feel at some point in their life a little bit of envy towards someone, but if you use that as your driving factor, you are a miserable person. Like, and you honestly, like, who wants to be your friend? Like, who genuinely wants to be your friend? If you wish that someone doesn't succeed, and if you're someone who's getting offended right now, then I'm talking to you. But if you wish that someone doesn't succeed because you are not where you need to be, then you're selfish. You need to look in the mirror.
Or they have what you want, then you're
then work towards it.
Yeah.
Like, work towards it. There's nothing stopping you.
Find inspiration in it.
Exactly. And rather than being jealous of someone, treat them as like what's the word? Like, you admire them. You admire what they do, and you look up to them. You use it as motivation rather than fueling this hatred you have for yourself. Because that's all that it is. It has nothing to do. You think that you're miserable, like, your outlook on life is going to bring someone down. It's actually not, because they're not thinking about you. They're thinking about them and how big they can be and the people in their life and the relationships they can nourish, as well as their own bank account and their own success. So really, it's just making you miserable. And I think that's such a big common misconception in being successful, is that you have a lot of people. Actually, you don't. It's the complete opposite.
Yeah, and a lot of people, kind of going back to the first myth about you'll always have money, is a lot of people think that too, that you'll always have money, and they take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And so you kind of need to start to back off from some people who will see you spending and thinking, oh, well, she's spending, so she can spend it on me too.
Exactly.
And they'll take advantage of that, and you have to weed out the people who are genuinely your friend, because your core values align and you're actually have a deep connection, versus the people who are just fluff.
Yeah, exactly. On that note, I feel like this is getting long, so we'll revisit this because I still have more points to say.
Next week we're gonna do a part 2,
Yeah.
so that we're splitting up so that we have 2 smaller episodes. But
for now, just keep those in mind. And always keep calling.
Always keep calling. Always keep hustling. And
don't let anyone's bad juju get you down.
No.
Bye.
Bye. Good morning.
Good morning.